Okay, welcome. Today we're going to be using Interzoid's AI Interactive Data Client as an AI data retrieval tool to find the nearest coffee shop to an address. Maybe because you're setting up a business meeting with a potential prospect, or you're traveling and just want to find a place to work and drink some good latte. Whatever the case may be, this is a tool that makes it really easy and then also has the added benefit of generating an API around your retrieval, your data request. And so let's see how this works. The first thing you need to do is go to this tool at data.interzoid.com, and you will need an API key, since behind the scenes this is indeed an API. That's essentially your license key, and it's how we track usage, especially in higher volume cases. You can get it by registering at interzoid.com, and there are trial credits available. And so the way this tool works is we're going to do a couple of things. We're going to describe the data that we want, then define the structured data output fields that we want, which we can get creative with, of course, and then some lookup values that we will use to interactively retrieve the data that we're looking for, and to also demonstrate how this would be used in batch mode, or if you're generating an API call that you want to integrate somewhere. So the first thing we need to do is describe in natural language the type of data that we're looking for. And again, you can get creative here. This will change your results depending on what you do. So I encourage you to experiment here. I'm just going to type under topic in the freeform box, nearest coffee shop for a location where the coffee shop is good for meetings. Yeah, I could even limit this. Maybe I just want Starbucks or Peet's, or there's a specific coffee shop that I want to focus on. There's all kinds of ways that I can further qualify what I'm looking for. But in this case, we'll leave it open, especially because we're going to be searching for coffee shops all over the world, and we want to have some more opportunity to do that. So that's basically it for our topic in describing the data that we're looking for, which of course will help our AI processing and our knowledge bases and so forth that we're going to use to get this data. And so now we need to add here in the enriched output data fields the type of data we want retrieved when we're searching the scan, the web, performing AI, and so forth. This will be the actual structured data that's returned to us, both interactively and then if we decide to incorporate this as an API. So I'm going to first enter coffee shop name. Of course, we want the name of the coffee shop. And let's also get the coffee shop address. Then it probably makes sense to get the coffee shop website URL. Now we could add other fields such as coffee shop description, coffee drinks offered. I mean, there's all kinds of ways that we can become more complex here, but for this demo, let's keep it relatively simple. And then the next thing we need to do is, before we enter any lookup values, let's go ahead and choose a model. Now there's different models that you can choose from. Again, I encourage you to experiment until you find the right one, as they all do behave a little bit differently. And here in the menu item, if you want to read more about these different models, as well as get an API key, see a step-by-step guide, you can also learn more about the model details, and that will help you choose. In this particular case, I'm going to choose, let's go with the Model A Premium. Anywhere you see Premium, it does include some web searching as part of the analysis that it's doing, which therefore means as a premium model, it does consume more credits, but depending on your use case, a more comprehensive result might make more sense. And so just something for you to consider. And let's go ahead and try one out. Let's just start with a lookup value, which can be anything, of course. in the world of AI, it's more about freeform. And so I'm just going to say, how about 100 Market Street in San Francisco? Let's say that's where I am, and let's find the nearest coffee shop. So all I need to do is click run, and now it's doing its searching and AI analysis. It's going to take a couple of seconds to come back. Okay, and it looks like it gave us Phil's Coffee at 1 Front Street. Phil's is of course a good coffee shop. Personally, I wish they had lattes, but they don't. But I guess that's not really relevant to what we're doing here. But you can get the website, the address, and that's all the information that we're looking for now. And one other thing I want to point out is we also generated the API call that was used. It's the get custom endpoint, and again, you can go to the menu to learn more about the API. And the parameters you would need if you want to integrate this JSON-based API into anything you want. Maybe it's a CRM system where every lead that comes in, you want to add the nearest coffee shop to make it easy to set up a meeting. Maybe it's a button you want to set up on your phone, or you want to build it into an application somehow. Here's an API that enables you to do that. And once you've got it refined and with the data that you want, another parameter is simply the topic that we typed up above. And then, of course, the lookup value, 100 Market Street, San Francisco. And this is what would change with each API call. That would be the variable that, depending on the location, you would use to make the API call. The rest would be pretty static. The model is a parameter in the API. And then, of course, you've got your output data that you described: coffee shop name, coffee shop address. These are the output parameters that you would bring back when the API is integrated. Just to demonstrate, let's try a couple more values. Maybe I'm in Paris, and our lookup value would be the Eiffel Tower. Let's give that a try. And you can see we get a coffee shop called the Blue Olive. That sounds good. On Rue de Grenelle in Paris. And so you can go to the website here and check out their various offerings and see if that's a good one that would fit your needs. Let's try a couple more here. Let's try, how about the Spanish Steps in Rome? A wonderful location. Must be some good coffee around there, I would imagine. Let's give that a try. Okay, Antico Cafe Greco on Via dei Condotti in Roma. So I don't know, that sounds like a good one. We can look that one up. And the main point is different ways that we can describe. Maybe it's an address. Maybe it's a point of interest. Could be any location, and it will attempt to find the nearest coffee shop. And again, if this were in an API or as part of an application, this would all just be automated and automatic. Maybe we're in New York and we just want to say New York City Hall. Let's see where the nearest coffee shop is. Okay, in this case, we're getting something called the Conwell Coffee Hall on Hanover Street. So that sounds pretty interesting. We could check that out to see if it's ideal. And again, these are not coffee windows or a little caboose or anything like that. Because we were looking up above at the topic, the nearest coffee shop, that is good for meetings. These tend to be a little bit bigger. These search results should be. So keep that in mind. And let's try one more to show the global applicability. How about the Peninsula, Hong Kong, which is a favorite hotel in an amazing city. And give that a run. And then in this case, it gives us the Peninsula Boutique and Cafe. So it sounds like that one is actually in the hotel, which makes sense because it is a very big hotel on the Kowloon side, across from Hong Kong Island. And so here's the website to research and pursue that a little bit more. So again, the idea is just to demonstrate how you're essentially creating and searching in a very structured and self-defined custom way the data that you want, and in this case for a nearest coffee shop, and also being able to use that as a basis for creating your own API, which can be integrated into anything. And one other thing I should point out, these configurations that you can save and then reload in the future can also be used in our batch tool at enrich.interzoid.com. So you could take an entire CSV file of addresses and locations, for example, and have every single one of them append this data to it, for the purposes of getting this information. And one thing we didn't show, this description here, the address is kind of long, so I can go into a pretty view and see it in a little more detail. So there's a lot of little features here in this particular tool, but at the end of the day, it's a powerful way to integrate data in any application or anything that you're doing. Again, interzoid.com, and if you have any questions, email them to support@interzoid.com, and we'd be happy to help.